Hey, what's up everybody? It's Moss coming to you with some standard content today. We are going to be playing Mono Blue Tempo in a best of 3 standard event. Now, this is one of the many decks that I'm considering taking to the regional championship in San Diego coming soon. This deck is very similar to one of the last decks I played when Standard was kind of big pre-pandemic. Autumn Burchett was tearing up the competitive scene with their version of Mono Blue Tempo. This time around, instead of Tempest Djinn, we got the Haughty Djinn. And this card, definitely a house. Delver of Secrets, Legacy All-Star, definitely good. And even one of the many major Pauper players in Tolarian Terror all make an appearance here in this deck. So our threats, pretty strong overall. Got some decent card draw and Thirst for Discovery and Consider. We've got some good bounce spells between Fading Hope and Otawara helping us bounce stuff. We've got some good counter magic. We've got protection for our creatures. Overall, fairly good. The sideboard, it's a smattering of everything. We got the Disdainful Strokes for Sheoldreds and Invoke Despairs, the occasional Saheeli, Pithing Needle to deal with things like Unlicensed Hearse, or even an activation of Lantern of the Lost. This helps us out with the Mirror, as does the Hearse. We get Stowaway for the Mirror Match, for Control, for those pesky Grixis decks. Additional creature countering for the Soldiers matchup, the Mono Red matchup, Mono Green if you happen to see it. Out of the way, also a All-Star in that matchup. Invoke the Winds to take, again, a Sheoldred. Any big threat from the good mid-range and control decks. And March a Swirling Mist to clear out a board of potential blockers for our own creatures. Alright, but that's everything as far as the deck tech goes. I will see you guys in match number 1. Alright, and we have match number 1. Alright, so our opponent is likely gonna be on the play. Alright, so opponent's mulliganing. This hand, counter magic, card draw, a threat, everything that Mono Blue Tempo wants. Let's get it. Alright, opponent keeps their 6. They play a Shipwrecked Marsh. Definitely an indicator that they are probably playing Grixis. Play an island and passing. Alright, we're just going to go ahead and fire off a Consider. Ooh, opponent casting Siphon Insight. That is not the greatest situation. We're going to go ahead and draw this card. Again, not the greatest situation for us here, but, you know, could certainly be worse. Ooh, they are playing Esper. So, chances are, considering that they're passing as they are, it's a Esper control build. Yep. Go ahead and siphon our insight yet again, opponent. Make disappear, not bad. It's going to be a while before we see this Tolarian Terror come down, but getting the Delver, definitely a good place to be. Alright, opponent plays a Shattered Sanctum. You don't get our Djinn. Not today. Now that is a really good pickup for us. Alright, so we will go go ahead and just swing 3. We're going to cast the Thirst of Discovery on their end step or in response to a spell. Force them to either, try to counter it or make them use all their mana. Now this is a good one. Alright. We're going to go ahead and Impulse in response to that. We will take a second Delver. And we're just going to go ahead and camp. Alright. Let's go ahead and play the Tolarian Terror. And swing for 3. Now, chances are, if our opponent played 1 Depopulate, they're sitting on another board wipe. But instead, they go for the Wandering Emperor. Their Emperor is definitely going to try to force us to use this shore up, and they're likely going to counter it. Calling the shots. Send that to the bottom. Okay, a second Thirst for Discovery is not the worst here. Let's go ahead and drop 1. And we'll run out just 1 Delver. They've got the mana available to cast Farewell, so we're going to make them use it. Okay, casting an Urtai. Probably going after our Terror, which is a fair, really good move on their part. We get to draw a card. We get to... In fact, we're just going to hold on to that. And we're going to go ahead and play our Haughty Djinn out. And we're just going to go ahead and swing in the air for 3. And pass to our opponent. Now, our opponent isn't liable to go and swing with this Urtai Resurrected. Voidrend is good, though. Opponent definitely in the tank right now, thinking about the options they have. They could die, or they could swing and then die. Opponent might actually be salt roping. There's no way they could be, though. This is a fairly good matchup for them, too. That could be a reason why they salt rope, but surely they wouldn't. Oh, wow. Opponent's really just gonna sit here and tank. Unfortunate. Opponent is really just sitting here running down the clock, hoping to bore us into a loss. Alright. A win by any means. On to the next one. Alright, we got our next round opponent. Let's see. Ooh, we get to be on the play. Now, this hand could be great. It's a tempting one. We're going to risk it. We're going to keep. We're going to go Delver on 1. Hopefully see a draw spell on our first draw of the game. And then we can start getting these terrors closer. Ooh, Shattered Sanctum. We know what this could be. We know exactly what this could be. Alright. Let's go ahead and send our Delver out. Well, our Aberration. They are Mardu. That's not going to Mardu it for us. Opponents thinking about their potential choice here. And they're going to go for the Abrade. We're going to go for the Fading Hope. And we're definitely going to take that Consider off the top. Play the Insectile Aberration again, or the Delver now. And see what our opponent does. Graveyard Trespasser here is definitely not good for us. If there is any one card besides Thalia that really hurts this deck, it's Graveyard Trespasser. Being able to rip apart our graveyard and make our terrors cost more, and being able to do that each turn, is an absolute beating for us. We're going to send that to the bottom and draw another Consider. Okay, Thirst for Discovery is not bad. And we get to beat in the air for just a little bit extra. Slip out the back can go. And another Tolarian Terror. Well, hopefully this means that we might be able to actually get one of our terrors onto the battlefield next turn. But let's see. Opponent just going to swing in for 1. Well, 1 card out of our yard. Swing in for 3 for damage. Alright, let's go ahead and cast this Thirst. Chances are our Insectile Aberration is going to eat it. Yeah. So, the smartest move for us here is actually to we're going to decline it. We're going to drop the Make Disappear and a Terror, because at least we'll be able to get 2 threats onto the board next turn. Or threat and a counter spell. That's not a bad combo either. And they're going to have to pay a good bit if they want to try to remove this Tolarian Terror. Now, as long as our opponent doesn't have a Liliana in hand, this gets a little bit easier. Okay. Blood Tithe Harvester. Not the worst. And they pass. Alright, let's go for the Haughty Djinn. Let's go for the Delver. And we will go and swing in for 5. Now, opponent's probably going to block this. It makes sense for the opponent to block this. But, let's see what they do. Are they going to try to cast a spell targeting it? Because there's not a 1-mana spell that really deals with this creature the way that they want to. Okay, opponent cycling with their blood token. Again, Graveyard Trespasser, making our terrors cost more, making our Haughty Djinns weaker. Definitely the biggest drawback of this deck, knowing that this is one of the more commonly played cards. This, and even Corpse Appraiser, definitely sets us back just a little bit. But let's see what our opponent does. Alright, they go for another Graveyard Trespasser. Now, opponent could swing and really just force us to double block one of their Graveyard Trespassers. But I don't think they're going to try that. And this Consider reveal off the top is really going to push us into the win. Drawing another land, not the greatest here, but it'll work. Go ahead and swing out. Let's see what the opponent does. They're going to double block. We got to let that go through. Alright, we've got lethal in the air next turn unless the opponent can do something about it. Now, an Archangel of Wrath here would definitely cause some problems for us. The life gain, if they try to double kick it, would kill our Haughty Djinn. It would definitely kill our Insectile Aberration, but we've still got this Make Disappear in hand, so we could deal with that. Alright, let's go for it. Let's go for the alpha. Opponent's going to double block. Ooh, brutal. Alright, let's see what they do. If they go for the Archangel of Wrath, well, they could kick it once. But let's find out. Opponent gives us a GG. Alright, let's go on to sideboarding. So, as far as sideboarding goes for this matchup, definitely want to bring in the Disdainful Strokes. Definitely want to bring in the Invoke the Wind. This is going to help us take a opposing Sheoldred, which they are for sure playing. But what do we want to get rid of? These Essence Scatters are good. We definitely want to go down some number of the permission spells. So I'm thinking drop both of those. Drop one of those. We may want to get rid of all of them, but I personally am of the opinion that you want to get rid of a terror, maybe two in this matchup, just to bring in your suspicious stowaways. Again, the extra card draw, it's something that's going to get through no matter what. Definitely hurts in the face of Sheoldred, but still overall a really good card for us to have. Alright. Game number 2. Alright, so Delver into Haughty Djinn, got a Fading Hope to bounce something back. The 4 lands definitely feel pretty bad, but overall, not the worst keep. Alright, we're going to play Delver on 1, and we're knowing that we're going to run it into some type of removal spell here. Alright, we're actually going to put, well, if only we had done it a little bit sooner, we could have put the Fading Hope stop here and hopefully scry into something good, but c'est la vie. Alright, and we're just going to pass to the opponent. Okay, opponent's going to swing. We're going to take the 3. Opponent plays a Shattered Sanctum. And they play another Bloodtithe Harvester onto this board. Going to go ahead and Fading Hope that back to their hand now. Another Delver on top isn't bad, but we really do need to flip this so that we can start pinging in some damage in the air. But we don't get there. Alright, so let's go ahead and swing in again. So our opponent's definitely going to get in for another 3. They're going to likely just hold back one of their Bloodtithes. They're going to try and remove our Haughty Djinn next turn for sure. Alright, this is a good one. Let's go ahead and swing. Go for the throat targeting. Yep, it's a good one. We're going to go ahead and play this Haughty Djinn out. The opponent's likely going to go land, try to kill the Haughty Djinn, and then cast an Invoke Despair. And if that's what they do, then they're going to get us. Alright, we're going to protect the Djinn. And if they have Invoke Despair, they're going to get us for 9 here. Nope, they just go for the Graveyard Trespasser. Okay. Not the worst of turns, but certainly not the greatest of turns either. Okay. So we got the Suspicious Stowaway. We're going to hold back this Haughty Djinn. Alright, opponent's going to get us for 3. No blocks. Ooh, another Bloodtithe Harvester. I think the opponent's got us in this matchup. And this is probably one of the more rough matchups for us to deal with. Alright, opponent's cycling with a blood token, drawing. We are going to draw and discard. We're in a bad spot regardless, but let's go ahead, bring out the Tolarian Terror. Our opponent can go Bloodtithe and pay for the ward cost and kill it. Really mulling over what they could be doing in this situation. Alright, they duress us. They go for Sheoldred. and they pass. They pass knowing that we're going to have to deal with a really unfortunate situation. Alright, let's go ahead and swing with the Suspicious Stowaway. Cycle through a land. Opponent replays Shieldred. Alright, opponent wins on the next draw for us, and we go on to game number 3. Now, admittedly, this opponent hasn't really played a whole lot of other spells, which really makes us consider getting rid of this Make Disappear, maybe bringing in more of the counter magic package. That might honestly be the smartest move here. Admittedly, the 2 blue pips on Essence Capture are kind of iffy, but being able to efficiently and knowingly get rid of one of their creatures is a big positive for us in this situation. So, make that change and run it back. And thankfully, we will be on the play for this final game of this round. Wow. This hand, if there were just a couple lands, would be fantastic, but we got a mullet. Again, this hand could be good. It's a risky keep. Absolutely risky. We'll put the shore up on the bottom and go Delver on 1 and pass. Our opponent hasn't shown us cut down yet, but we definitely have to know that it is a possibility. Flip our Delver, draw a land, and swing 3, pass to our opponent. Alright. Cast another Consider. Another Delver definitely seems good for us here. We'll go ahead and take that. Alright, we're going to play this and make a stop on our opponent's upkeep. Force them to send back their Blood Tithe Harvester. Now, it would have made more sense to cast that on our turn, but I think we can deal with that. Another land off the top would be good, but I think we can maybe get through this with some solid creature beats. Opponent replays their Blood Tithe Harvester. What do we reveal? We reveal and invoke the winds. Now, given we are a long time away from casting that, but again, we're in a very good spot here, and having this negate to deal with any potential kill spells that our opponent has in hand, really good for us. The opponent's really got to think about what they're going to do in this situation. Alright, opponent's going to kill one of our creatures with Blood Tithe Harvester. Opponents stopping in their second main to really think about what they could be doing here. They play a Shieldred. We get another Delver. Now, opponents really in a, again, fortunate spot. So they're going to be able to gain 2 off of this Shieldred. And as long as we cannot defend one of our 2 creatures, and as long as they can continue to keep our board small, they've got us. Now, admittedly, again, we did make a risky keep with this hand. And us not hitting our additional land drops is an issue. They hit us with the Infernal Grasp. They go down. Let's see what we can do here. If we flip this Delver, our opponent's on a 2-turn clock, especially if they don't remove it. Well, 3-turn clock. And they cast a Go for the Throat. Alright. We are definitely in a very bad spot here. And us not hitting that next land drop probably sealed the deal. A Graveyard Trespasser. We finally hit that 3rd land drop, but let's see if this Haughty Djinn survives. I don't think it's really got a great chance of doing that. We got to block both creatures attacking, but they got us. GG's, opponent. Alright, found our next round opponent. We are 1-1 in this standard event so far. Let's see if we can get this into the positive. Alright, so we are going to be on the draw against this opponent. With a name like Red Destruction, we're either thinking they're playing red or they're playing some life-gaining nonsense. Because what better way to get red than to do the most unread thing possible and gain life. Alright, hand solid. Got some counter spells. Opponent mulligans to 5 and then concedes. Okay, so in the blind, what are we wanting to do here? Maybe just bring in some counter spells. Maybe drop a piece of permission. And maybe that should do it for us. An interesting win for game 1, I suppose. But a win's a win. Alright. So, hopefully, on the draw again. Okay, so Fading Hope, slip out the back. Overall, not the worst. We'll keep. Opponent mulls to 5 again. Wow. Brutal hands for our opponent here. Okay, they kept their 5. Ooh, mono black. Ooh, not great at all for us. They take our 1 threat and thank goodness for the Thoughtseize bug. Ooh, they are Rakdos. Okay, opponent, we see you. Alright, let's see what you do. I don't think so. Gonna go ahead and bottom that. While it's gonna be good to have another land, it's gonna be very good to have another land. Alright. Wow. Opponent's really gonna do some damage here against us. They are on a very aggressive Rakdos draw. Alright, so we'll go ahead and just cast a bunch of spells right now. Our opponent is doing some crazy things right now. Okay, we're going to go ahead and cast a Haughty Djinn and just see what happens. Well, our opponent's got options as far as taking our spells goes. They take our protection spell. They go and swing. We're going to go ahead and block the Tenacious Underdog. And we're going to try to consider into killing it. Let's go. They get another one in the grave. Okay. Opponent's on a very aggressive draw. Alright, we're going to go ahead and do it like this. Now, we are definitely putting ourselves in a very interesting spot by okay. Well, actually, before we do that, let's see what we can do here. And then we'll just go ahead and shoot back this Graveyard Trespasser to their hand, discarding the island, and drawing a Tolarian Terror. Okay. Play the Terror. Play the Delver. And swing for 5 in the air. I wouldn't necessarily say that we're rounding the corner against this opponent, but we are getting back into a better spot. Delver does not flip, but let's go ahead and see what happens when we go for the swing for 9. They'll probably chump with an Epicure. That is certainly not unexpected, but having another Terror that we can play for fairly cheap, really good for us. Opponent doesn't want to do a whole lot here. They play another Tenacious Underdog. They play a land. Alright. Let's go ahead and jam in for lethal. Let's throw another Delver out here. And I think our opponent is recognizing they are done for. Throw our opponent a GG. And, alright, we are 2-1 in our standard event. See you in the... Alright, we are into our next match. Alright, opponent is going to be on the play. Hand's not bad. Hand got bad. Mono red is an okay matchup for this deck, but if it gets off to a strong enough start, we are definitely backpedaling. Ooh, you're not mono red. You are green red. Okay, so the modified deck. The Helana and Elena deck. The modified deck. Okay. A little bit more of an interesting situation now then. Getting another impulse and a land off the top is not necessarily the position that we wanted to be in, but again, we can get through it. Opponent plays their third land, is looking over their hand, and is really considering the spot that they are in right now. Playing another rapid battery. Okay. And opponent just swings. Well, we're going to go ahead and cast this impulse. We'll take another Haughty Djinn. Alright, make disappear. We're going to hold off just one more turn in the hopes that our opponent tries to do something crazy here. And there's our something crazy. Alright. Ooh, a little bit flooded, but that's okay. Our opponent casts another Jugon, defends the temple. They get a monk. And then we get to throw this impulse off on our end step. We're going to go ahead and get another make disappear. Alright. And we're just going to swing in the air for 4. Alright, so they get to put a counter on each of up to 2 creatures next turn, which could be bad. We'll see. But will they attack with any of their creatures is a real good question. Our opponent could reconfigure these onto another creature, hoping to see that it could, maybe get through for some unchecked damage. Instead, they are just going to kick a Yavimaya Iconoclast. We'll go ahead and counter it. Now, if they want to keep it, they're going to have to tap both of their things. Okay, they decide to do it. And we're just going to send it back to their hand. Alright, let's go ahead and consider. While that Tolarian Terror looks good, I think we're actually going to keep it because we can play it for free. None of these can block, and we'll just go ahead and slip out the back targeting their Rabbit Battery, and opponent scoops it up. Alright, on to the next one. So, sideboarding for this deck. Essence Capture. Out of the way. We're probably not going to see a lot of threats that really need to be spell pierced here. So those can definitely come out. I also think that it might be good for us to maybe drop another bit of permission. Negate really doesn't see a whole lot of targets in their deck, though. So let's start by doing that, and then we will see what our opponent can do. Alright, so our opponent mulligans. We got a Consider, we've got a Fading Hope, we've got a Shore Up, but no creature. This hand is definitely a very sketchy keep, but I think we can draw into something. Now, how well has that worked for us in previous matches? Definitely questionable. Alright, opponent plays a Rock Veil, or a Rockfall Veil. Huh. We're going to start with just the island and passing. Again, being able to protect this, probably a good choice, and this pays off. Alright, we'll keep the Consider on top. And see what our opponent does. If they try to get rid of our Delver, then we've got a protection spell. If they just play the Tycoon and pass, then we've got card draw. Haughty Djinn's a good draw. Another Delver's not the worst. So we're going to go Delver. And pass. Alright, opponent's kind of mulling over their decisions right now. Chances are, since we hit our land drop and they have not, that we're definitely in a winning position. Alright, opponent makes a treasure. Definitely means that they need to hit this land drop. They go for a Jugon defends the temple. Another Haughty Djinn seems really good for us here. We'll go ahead and draw it. Alright. Let's see if we can get the spell off the top. We get a Consider. Alright. Swing in the air for 6. Play a Haughty Djinn in our second main and pass. So we are in a really good position. I don't think our opponent's going to do a whole lot to interact with us from this point forward. All of our creatures get in the air where theirs do not. We're set up for a really good spot. Now, Jugon being able to defend, really going to be a problem for us. But I think we're good. They're not going to really hit that modified component. So we got this. Alright, so Goro. This modified deck looks pretty solid. Gonna go ahead and cast a Consider. Opponent's kind of looking at their choices that they can make here. They decide to go for Tamiyo Safekeeping. We're just going to go ahead and counter that. They could make a treasure and then Tamiyo Safekeeping again. Or they bring in another. Okay. Our opponent is really going to need to deal with our flyers in the air, maybe try to gain themselves some more life. But we are in a good spot. Alright, they get an electrostatic infantry down. And the remnant of the rising star triggers. Now, they're really not going to want to do anything here. Again, being able to threaten some type of removal. Oh. Oh. Opponent. Are you sure? All right. GG's opponent. On to the next one. All right. Final match of the standard event. And we will be on the play. Ooh, this hand is such a risky keep. Didn't get this far without taking any risk though, so let's go for it. Opponent mulligans. Alright. Land Delver go. And opponent plays a Yavimaya Coast. Interesting. Alright, let's consider. Hit this land. Play land. Swing one and go. Now with the Yavimaya Coast, if they play another green-blue land, ooh, Teamer, they could be playing a clone deck, but they're not. Alright. Negate was a great draw off the top. Alright, Dreamroot Cascade. And a Topiary Stomper. Okay. Just going to send that back to our opponent's hand. Putting that Thirst for Discovery on the bottom. Opponent's definitely doing things. Alright, well, I will let them have that Topiary Stomper. Played an island tapped. Alright. Not getting the lands is definitely hurting us right now. Go ahead and counter this negate, or negate this abrade. And let's see where they go. Alright. Nothing crazy on their first main, second main. They play a Titan of Industry. It's like the one card we didn't want to see. So they are playing a Teamer Titan of Industry deck. Huh. Well, let's just go ahead and play this Haughty Djinn and let him go. I want to see what this opponent's doing. We will happily take everything that they are throwing at us right now. Play another Topiary Stomper. So it just looks like they're a good Teamer ramp deck. Hoping to clone Titan with Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Now, chances are we're not gonna really get through this, and we're not. Alright, game 2. So, admittedly, bad keep. Alright, so this game, what do we want to do? They've got removal, but we'll drop the permission spells, bring in some more of those. Out of the Way is a fantastic card in this matchup, as is Invoke the Winds. cut a couple more permission spells. In fact, we'll cut them all. And bring in a Disdainful Stroke or two. And drop... Let's go ahead and drop a Thirst for Discovery. And run it like that. Something to get rid of those Topiary Stompers is a really good plan for this matchup. Stop them from ramping early. So bringing in a lot of those spells to get rid of their creatures. Handful of counters. Some creatures. We can do this. Alright, they play Topiary Stomper, and we will counter it. We'll let them play their Fable. Grab a Negate. Play an Island and swing. Now, we're not going to play the Tolarian Terror here simply because we really want to hold up these counter spells for whatever they might do this turn. And they drop 2 Memory Deluge. Okay. So they are all in on the ramp plan. Let's go ahead and counter a second Fable. And they counter our counter. Now I think here we can go ahead and play the Tolarian Terror. Swing out. Let's see. Opponent's about to have 8 mana at their disposal. But instead they hold back. Well, 9 mana. Let's see what they do here. They're just choosing to pass. Well, we will go ahead and play our Delver. We're going to, again, wait and see what they do. Chances are they're going to Okay. Taking control of their Hullbreaker Horror here, probably in our best interest. Now, if they play their Titan of Industry and copy it, we're in a bad spot. We will take the 2 here. They got enough mana. Okay, they gain the life. Are they going to copy on their main phase? Okay. Now, there is a chance that we can go off this turn and maybe put ourselves in a good spot, but not looking super likely and getting less likely by the minute. Okay. So, we're probably in a bad spot. They're gaining all the life, which is really putting a damper on our plans right now. Alright. So obviously the thing that our opponent wants to do here is to try and play their Titan of Industry and get it through our little line of potential blockers. Having those reflections is really hurting us right now. So they're swinging with their team. We are going to go ahead and block. We are definitely not in a good spot because our opponent likely sees a line of just taking their Kiki Jiki and doing the Kiki Jiki thing. Yep, they see it. Well, I think that's going to end our run here. But opponent definitely saw the line. GG's. Alright, so overall the deck went 2 and 3. Not necessarily a very stellar set of games for the deck, but considering what we were running against, overall not bad. And, I mean, okay, better than we thought with the 3 and 2. So, overall, not bad. Losing to the ramp deck like we did was definitely a little bit of a beating, especially considering that it is such an off-meta deck, but overall, can't complain about it. And still a fairly solid deck if you wanted to pick it up in paper. It's super cheap, it's competitive, definitely worth looking into. But we'll see you next time.